The field stretched endlessly under the scorching sun. Hands raw, feet blistered, spirits crushed. This wasn't just labor. It was survival. Every day, every hour, every moment. Life was measured not in time, but in endurance. Voices whispered in fear. Shadows hid secrets. Punishment came without warning. And yet, amidst despair, hope lingered. A glance. A story. A memory of freedom. This was the reality of millions. A reality history tried to bury. This is what life was really like in slave-era America. For the enslaved, life often began with force. Families torn apart. Children separated from parents. Men and women sold at auction like property, stripped of names, identity, and agency. Arrival on a plantation meant entering a world where every movement was monitored, every word scrutinized, and every misstep punished. Dawn came too early, and sunset arrived too late. Fields had to be worked from sunup to sundown, regardless of exhaustion, illness, or injury. The work was backbreaking. Planting, picking, clearing. Sweat, dirt, and blood mingled in the soil, yet the reward for survival was little more than a day's basic meal. Hunger was constant. Fatigue was unavoidable. Fear was omnipresent. The overseer's gaze never left the workers. Whippings, threats, and intimidation enforced control. A single act of defiance could lead to punishment, not just for the individual, but sometimes for others nearby, a cruel reminder that no one was safe. Silence became instinct. Submission became survival. Even private thoughts had to be cautious. And yet, in stolen moments, humanity persisted. A whispered story from an elder. A fleeting glance of a loved one. A song hummed quietly under the sun. These small acts of resistance, memory, culture, connection, were lifelines in a world designed to strip them away. Life in chains was relentless, and for many, it began the moment they arrived on the plantation. The boundaries of control were absolute, but so too was the human spirit, however fragile. Every day was a fight, not against an enemy on a battlefield, but against the very system that sought to erase one's existence entirely. From the first light of dawn, the fields came alive, not with joy, but with exhaustion. Enslaved men, women, and children moved in unison, carrying baskets, hoes, and plows. Every action was measured, every pace dictated. There was no pause, no rest, and no escape from the relentless demands of the overseer. The sun beat down mercilessly, and the air was thick with heat, dust, and the scent of earth turned by countless hands. Blisters formed on palms, backs ached from bending over rows of crops, and lungs burned from the labor. Yet complaints were silenced before they could form. Whipping posts, lash marks, and the shadow of the overseer ensured obedience, and fear became as familiar as the soil beneath their feet. But labor wasn't only physical, it was psychological. Enslaved people were constantly reminded of their place. Names were stripped away, replaced with numbers or labels. Families were separated. Words of comfort were whispered in secrecy. Eyes avoided meeting those of authority, and subtle gestures of solidarity, like sharing water or a quick glance, were lifelines in a world designed to crush humanity. Meals were small and repetitive, often leaving hunger gnawing alongside fatigue. Illness spread easily, and injury could be fatal if left untreated. Yet even in suffering, moments of resistance appeared. A song hummed softly under the sun, a secret prayer shared in the shadows, a coded message passed along the rows. These were acts of survival, tiny sparks of defiance in a world built to erase identity. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the fields emptied, but exhaustion lingered. Pain and fear accompanied the enslaved back to cramped quarters, where sleep offered only temporary relief. Each day was a cycle of toil, endurance, and survival, an unending testament to human resilience under the most oppressive conditions. Life on the plantation was not only labor, it was also constant surveillance and fear. The overseer's presence was everywhere, a shadow that haunted every step. Every misstep, hesitation, or whispered word could invite punishment. A missed row, a slow pace, a glance toward a forbidden place, each could result in lashes, confinement, or worse. Discipline was brutal, public, and meant to instill terror, not correct behavior. Whippings were a daily threat. The crack of the lash across skin echoed across fields, a reminder that no one was beyond control. Chains, shackles, and collars were sometimes used to restrain those deemed particularly defiant. Fear became instinct. The enslaved learned to anticipate the overseer's movements, to hide small acts of resistance, and to survive by appearing compliant, even while anger and despair roiled beneath the surface. Children were not spared. Young hands joined the labor, young bodies bent under the sun. Discipline for a child was often harsher than for adults, a cruel strategy to teach obedience from the earliest age. Families lived under constant threat, and the knowledge that loved ones could be sold or punished at any moment hung over every day like a storm cloud. And yet, even in this climate of terror, subtle acts of resistance survived. A hidden conversation, a note passed in secret, a shared memory of home or freedom, these became acts of courage. Music, storytelling, and coded language carried hope, strengthened bonds, and preserved identity. They were lifelines in a system designed to erase humanity. Fear shaped every movement, every thought, and every word. But survival required more than compliance. It required observation, cunning, and patience. To endure in this world meant understanding not only the strength of the oppressor but also the hidden power within oneself and within one's community. Even after the sun dipped below the horizon, life for the enslaved did not pause. Nightfall brought little relief. Crowded quarters offered no comfort, just hard floors, thin blankets, and the ever-present fear of punishment. The workday ended, but exhaustion and worry lingered. Many lay awake listening to distant sounds, the creak of chains, the shouts of overseers, or the soft cries of family members. Sleep was a fragile refuge. Food was sparse and monotonous. Cornmeal, salted meat, or leftovers barely nourished bodies pushed to their limits. Illness spread quickly, and medical care was often non-existent. Minor injuries could fester into life-threatening infections. Every ailment, every weakened body, was a stark reminder of the fragility of life under oppression. The mental and emotional toll was relentless. Families lived under constant threat of separation. Parents could be torn from children. Siblings sold to different plantations. Trust was both essential and dangerous. One misstep, one overheard word, could destroy the fragile bonds that kept people sane. Despite this, people found ways to preserve culture and humanity. Songs whispered at night, stories shared in secret, prayers uttered softly. These small acts kept spirits alive, offering hope that one day freedom might be possible. Even in chains, enslaved people observed their surroundings. They learned patterns, anticipated punishments, and found fleeting moments of autonomy. An extra piece of food, a brief conversation, a hidden token of memory. Survival was a daily negotiation between fear, endurance, and subtle resistance. Life beyond the fields was as brutal and unforgiving as the work itself. Yet, these nights, filled with quiet resilience and secret defiance, revealed an unbreakable human spirit. Despite the system's attempt to erase identity and hope, enslaved people carried within them the strength to endure, resist, and remember. For the enslaved, survival was never passive. Each day demanded not only physical strength but also mental resilience. Life was a constant negotiation, between obeying to survive and resisting in small, hidden ways. Every song hummed under the sun, every whispered story, every stolen glance at a loved one, became acts of quiet rebellion. Families and communities were the backbone of endurance. Even under constant threat, people formed bonds, hidden networks of support that defied the system designed to break them. Elders taught children skills and knowledge in secret, preserving culture and memory. Stories of ancestors, songs of freedom, and coded messages passed quietly through the rows of crops kept hope alive. These acts of defiance, though subtle, were dangerous. Discovery could mean brutal punishment, yet people risked everything to maintain humanity. Punishment, hunger, and exhaustion were daily realities, but so were resilience and ingenuity. People found ways to protect one another, share scarce resources, and maintain traditions. Secret marriages, communal rituals, and coded language were lifelines in a world built to erase them. Every survival story carried with it courage, intelligence, and unbreakable determination. And yet, the harsh truth remained: Life under slavery was a constant battle against a system designed to dehumanize. Each day was a reminder of what was taken: freedom, identity, family, but also of what could not be taken: the spirit. The ability to endure, to hope, to resist, even in the smallest ways, revealed the extraordinary resilience of the human soul.